Hey everybody, welcome to my explanation, review, and maybe just a little bit of a round or two playthrough of Cubitos. This is a dice drafting race game, and it's fun. You can change the board. There are 4 different boards that have a totally different configuration and introduce new stopping points and passing through points, and so everything changes up. The other thing that changes up are these 8 dice. Now, the configuration of the dice stays the same, so that each die obviously still has the same symbols on it, but the cards for the dice change. Now, this is Bob for the blue die. He's one of 7 cards that have very different special action triggers, and so you can play this game with the set combinations that the game suggests in the rulebook with the boards that they suggest, but you can also totally make up your own configuration of dice and player racetrack. There are these really great boxes you have to put together in the very beginning, but they're great because they're labeled and they also show the configuration of every dice. And these trays are super easy to grab dice when you want to buy them and put them into your collection. And then also you're going to see that every single die has a card that shows exactly what it does, particularly when you activate the special bonus. So there's going to be a varying amount of special images that show up on the dice. For example, Smelly Cat only has 1 cat image and Bob has 2 peace symbols. So you're 2 out of 6 likely to get that special bonus for Bob. Smelly Cat, only 1 out of 6. Now, what does all of that mean and how does Cubitos work? Well, you're going to have a player area in front of you, and it's going to have everything laid out for you because there are a couple phases in the game and the whole thing is simultaneous. So you've got a roll phase and a run phase, and this is a little card that tells you exactly what to do and when to do it, which is pretty handy. You also have this player map where you have all of your characters' symbol on the map. I'm the white sheep. And what you want to do in this game is race your character around the map from start to finish. And once you cross that finish line, you win the game. So again, this is a racing game. And if you know me, you know I love long shot and just about any other racing game. Usually they're horses. In this case, you've got these crazy, weird, thematic cards, and you've got these cute little animals, and they're racing around the track. So you're going to build up your dice pool so that you roll the dice that you buy. So the dice drafting mechanic in this game is very strong. There are ways to acquire really expensive dice without paying. If you go to gain a die and you land on a space on the map that says gain and there's a green arrow going up, you get to pick any die and then put it into your playing area. There's also the lose a die, and that means that you're culling your dice deck to get rid of these really cruddy dice. So there are dice that every player starts with. They are the light gray dice. You get 7, and there is a 1 out of 6 chance to get a temporary dollar. Now I say temporary because in the phase that you roll it, it's only good that time. If you put it in the discard pile, you lost that money, you didn't spend it all, doesn't matter, it's gone. These square money stay with you until you use it, which means that you can hang on to them from round to round, build up, and then buy a really cool die because dice are going to be expensive. You can get some really low cost dice, but the bigger, higher cost dice are going to give you some bigger benefits. You also start with these 2 dark gray dice, and there is a 2 out of 6 chance to get either a $1 temporary or a foot. So everyone starts with 9 dice. And if you look at your player board, you start with the ability to roll 9 dice. Now, when you're done with the roll phase, you just flip your card over and you just wait for everybody to activate the run phase. And then once the run phase is done, you flip it over, everyone grabs all their dice, and they get to rolling. Now, yeah, it is a dice game you're going to roll, and you might bust, which is part of the game. There's a built-in mechanic that kind of keeps you from falling too far behind. It is the fan track. And the fan track is going to give you bonuses that give you just a little bit of edge when you push it just a little bit too far. The other thing is that there are these red lines on the map, And what you need to do before you do your roll phase is count how many red lines separate you from the leader, the person who's the furthest ahead. And you're going to roll that many more dice. So if you're behind by 1 red line, instead of rolling the 9, you roll 10. And so that's another way for you to kind of catch up in this game. But there are also some wonderful dice combinations that if you get them, you might actually just race around the track really fast, and I think that's awesome. Reckless Cheese is one of them, and so is, for me, Dugout. Dugout was a great die for me. The other thing I appreciate about this game is just how easy it is to box up and unpack and to play. There's really great iconography and labeling. So when you're putting things away, it says to put in this box all of those pieces, but when you're setting it up, you actually want these to house the bits and chits. And so you'll put your dice back in the box and then everything just goes in boxes, and it's kind of adorable too. This is Cubitos. It's cubes and it's dice and everybody's a little block, and then everything in the box is just in a box. It's just like super cute. The thing I appreciate too is there's a first player bonus and you get to roll the die. You always know who the first player is because they have the extra die, but it gives you some really cool stuff, and it just is neat. I kind of like that. I think that's fantastic. So yay for the first player die that you get. It doesn't count towards your roll limit. It does count towards your bus limit, which, but it's actually super, super cool. I'm going to zoom in and show you my player board area and play around, maybe 2, and show you exactly what it looks like during a turn, how you move, how you buy dice, and what some of these dice do in that first suggested game. So as you can tell on the track, we have taken a couple turns. You'll see I've got some discard dice that I've already played. I've got some dice in my roll zone, and then I have 2 dice in my draw zone. We are moving on to the new turn. Here's what a turn looks like. There's a really great reminder, and it also is an indicator of when you're done with the roll phase, you flip it over and you show everyone that you're ready to go for the run phase, because turns are, for the most part, simultaneous. There are going to be times where you want to do turn order for running into particular places, since you can't be in the same space at the same time with someone. You can't end there. You can walk through them, but you can't end there. And then also buying dice. If there are a few dice left in the boxes and there's only 1 or 2 and there are people in front of you, they might want to buy those dice first. Otherwise, you're going to do everything at the same time. So I'm going to look at my dice in the roll zone. I can draw 9 dice and roll them on my turn. So you'll notice that I am the white sheep here, and I am behind a red line. You're going to look at the player who's the furthest ahead on the track, and you're going to count how many red lines are between you and the leader. Right now it's just 1, so that 9 that I normally get to roll for dice is upped by 1 temporarily this turn. So I'm going to get to roll 10 dice. I have 4 here. I add the 2 from our draw zone. It says here no more, and I get to refresh it. So I'm going to take all my dice from my discard area, place them in my draw, and then I will now draw up to 10. I have 6 dice over here, so I'm not going to take all of them. I'm not allowed to. So what I'll do is I'll take these 2, and let's take those 2. I've got 10 dice, and any side that shows a symbol goes straight into my active pile. No choices. You're not allowed to say, oh, I don't really want that side, I'll just let it go. Now I'm going to roll again because I don't have a chance of busting. If you have 3 dice in your active area and you roll again and you get all blank sides, you bust because you pressed your luck. Now there is some consolation for busting. You get to move your marker up on this track and receive the bonuses when you cross into those areas. And so I would get a $1 to buy with. The next space is you get to add 1 little permanent hand so that you actually get to roll more dice every single time. And so busting is not entirely wasting your time. You also get to move some of those roll dice, like all of these, into your discard pile so you can really pick the good ones for next time. So I'm going to roll again. Again, I don't have any risk of busting because I only have 2 symbols showing. Ah, hey, I got 1. Now I can keep rolling. I think I might. Let's see what happens. That's part of this game, is trying to figure out when should I stop, when should I go again. I have a lot of dice here, and I have this blue die that rolls 50% of the time. So I'm really hoping I can roll some more sides. Hey, there we go. That's more like it. So I'm going to move all of these symbols over here, and at this point I'm pretty happy. I'm not going to press my luck. I've got a really nice pile. I only didn't roll on 3 dice. Notice I put them in the roll zone. That's different from my draw zone. You have to keep those separate. So now that I'm done with the roll phase, I'm going to move on to the run phase. Now, if anyone had this Mr. Soldier red die, we would determine who has the majority of these, and the first player marker is going to break those ties. And so right now we don't have that guy. That's okay. We'll move on to step 5, and that's move your feet. And it says that you gain the reward space that you end on, not that you cross through. So I've got 1 foot. I'm going to move my little sheep right there. That's it. I'm still behind that red line, so next time I'm definitely going to roll up to 10 dice, which is great. This peace symbol for Bob says after you move during the move phase, gain 1 reward space that is 1 or 2 steps away from you. Now the closest I have is a 1, and I'm so close to getting that, which is a movement space on the fan track, which, you know, your fans are really rallying for you, so when you bust, they're really going to be supportive. Again, I really love the theme here. So I'm going to take just 1. I'm going to put it in my area. That gives me $1 more to buy with that doesn't go away at the end of the round. It only goes away once I use it. So I'm going to put that in the discard pile since I took that action. I did my foot, and now I've got $7 to buy with. These are temporary monies. If I don't use them, they go away. Now I could add this to make it 8, but $7 is enough money to get a dugout. Dugout is the orange die, and this is actually one of my favorite dice. I used this really well in my last game. When you roll this and you get that puppy side, you get the puppy face, it's a 2 out of 6, you get to pull 3 dice from your draw area and just roll them and add them to your current pile, which means that I rolled 10 dice. If I had my dugout and I rolled them, I would then grab 3 more dice and add them, so I would have 13 total dice that I'm playing with in that particular round. And the more dice you roll, obviously the more opportunity you get to earn bonuses like movement, temporary money, permanent money, or any other kinds of benefits that these special dice give you. So when you get a die, you put it in your discard area, and so you don't get to use it until you need to draw again. So I'm going to then move that over there once my draw area is depleted. I bought and then I discard, so I move all of my active dice over into the discard zone, and we flip this card over and we're ready to go again for the next round. Thanks for watching my review, explanation, and just a little bit of a playthrough of Cubitos. It is a really fun racing game. I love me some racing games, and I just kind of dig the dice drafting. It is super smart and clever. You have to make good choices, select the right dice and the right combination of dice to move around the track in the most efficient way possible, obviously trying to best your opponents. This is a clean, clever, fun game that has endless combinations and variety due to the cards and what the cards say the dice can do depending on who you set up for your game. If you just want to have a race with your friends and it's okay that you don't win because there is a little bit of luck here, there's some blocking, there's some nonsense that happens, but boy, there's so much more strategy than you think. It's not just roll the dice and oh boy, I got unlucky. That's not what this game is about. There's more to it, and it's loads of fun. So get your hands warmed up because you're going to do a lot of dice rolling in Cubitos.